Good morning, dear students. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
I'm really sorry for the delay. Okay, there was some issue in the department, so we couldn't start. Okay, so let me take another 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll get started. Okay, can everybody come in the video mode for 2 minutes before I start the class? Once I start the class, you can off your videos, not an issue. We can, yeah, we have 20 participants. Can everybody come in the video mode? Sanket, Rashmi, Omkar, Tejaswini, Shaila, Ivan, Viana, Jasvina. Everybody please come in the video mode. Omkar, Sanket, Rashmi, Akshata, Tejaswini and Shaila immediately come in the video mode. Ashwini also. Jasvina. Okay, good morning once again. So now we have around 19 participants who are there right now. So we'll get started with what we had done in the previous class. If you remember, we started with the HRA framework, okay, and which we studied how to basically the framework which is used. Okay, frameworks are used for measurement of your HR functions, how effective your functions are in achieving the goals, organizational goals and objectives. That is what we're going to do. How are we going to measure HR now? Okay, so I'll just share the screen. Let's begin. Okay, guys, you can off your videos now. I'm sharing the screen. लोड वाला फार वेळ लागा लागला सिस्टम पीपीटी लोडच होईना Okay, guys, can you see the screen? Is the screen visible? Is the screen visible, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. So in the previous class, if you remember, we started with HR framework. Okay, where we studied that it is a measure. It measures the contribution of HR functions. Okay. Then we also studied the Becker's 7-step process to clarify and measure HR strategic influence. Okay, how does the HR influences in achieving the goals and objectives of the organization is what we studied in the Becker's 7-step process. Okay, we also tried to understand what is a balanced scorecard, where we understood that it is the metrics which is used to measure the performance of an organization. Okay, in terms of 4 factors: the marketing factor, then learning and development, internal growth, internal business, and your finance. Okay, so 4 factors were considered, then these 7 steps. Okay, now let's understand measuring value creation for HR. Okay, now what is this value creation for HR is basically, see, first is HR competencies. Okay, so HR competencies there, HR systems are there, then leadership and workforce behaviors and workforce success. Fine. So each function, let's say, how do we measure it? Okay, so basically HR competencies, what is the objectives of HR competencies? HR managers possess competencies linked to the needs of the business. Okay, so objective is to find out whether the HRs have the competencies in achieving the goals of the organization. That is what HR competency talks about. Okay, then what is the right matrix that we use over here? The rating on validity, competency assessment tool, or knowledge of key business processes. So these are the 2 metrics that we can prepare to assess the competencies of the HR. Okay, now this last line is not so relevant, not so relevant because it talks about wrong matrix, so we don't want to learn what is wrong matrix. Second one is HR systems. Okay, first one is competency. So here you measure the competencies of the HR and whether those competencies are in line with the achievement of the goals and objectives of the organization. So HR competencies are measured. Second is HR systems. So HR practices and systems are aligned, integrated, and differentiated as appropriate. Okay, so what are the systems that are there in your organizations related to human resource? What are the various systems? So you have to analyze those systems. You have to assess those systems through different metrics like percentage employee trained on product knowledge. So there is a matrix called as percentage employee trained on product knowledge. So you prepare that matrix and you find out how much percentage of your total employees are trained on the knowledge about the product. Second is percentage of employees see link between training rewards and workforce success. Okay, so how many of them are really satisfied with the training given to them and they are able to link it with the success at the workplace. Then third one is percentage increase in customer satisfaction, increase in training or incentives. Okay, so basically whether your training, okay, the system of training is really helping you in achieving customer satisfaction. So after the training was provided, okay, it is divided by, right, after the training was provided, how many customers were satisfied. So customers satisfied per training incentives. Okay, that is what the matrix talks about. Okay, so here we are talking about the various systems, whether it is related to training or whether it is related to reward system, etc. Whether they are able to achieve the set goals or objectives or no is measured. Third one is leadership and workforce behavior. So employees deliver performance behaviors that execute strategies. Okay, so how is the behavior of the employee is measured over here. Okay, so here the behavioral aspects of the employees or the human resource in the organization is checked. So the right metrics that we use here is percentage of frontline staff rated knowledgeable, helpful, timely and courteous. So these knowledgeable, helpful, timely and courteous, these talk about their behavior. Whether the frontline employees are knowledgeable, how much percentage of your frontline employees are knowledgeable, how much percentage of your frontline employees are helpful, how much percentage of your frontline staff is timely, that they come in time, they deliver in time. Okay, and how much percentage of frontline staff is courteous. Okay, courteous enough to help others. Okay, so that is what is the measure of the behavior of the employees. And turnover by rating level. So these are the two metrics that can be used for leadership and workforce behavior. Then workforce success. The objective is world class customer buying experience. So you are talking about workforce success over here, whether your workforce is successful or no. The success of the workforce is measured here. So right metrics would be mystery shopper rating. There is a particular metrics called as mystery shopper rating. Okay, like as mystery shopper, basically what happens is you go into a shop, okay, as a mysterious person, and you try to rate them. You try to rate the workforce. Okay, the workforce is not aware of who you are, but as per the behavior showcased by them, as per their skills and knowledge that they have, you try to judge them. That is called as mystery shopper rating. Then customer repurchase percentage, buy again rating, and overall customer satisfaction. So this basically helps in understanding how successful your workforce is in getting the customers or in satisfying the customers. So these are the various systems that are there, which are valued or where value is created using various metrics. Okay, or it's measured using various metrics. So this is just an example for you. Okay, so what is a matrix now? Let's understand what is a matrix. Okay, so HR matrix refers to a system of data that is used to measure HR and in relationship and impact on company. Okay, so what does this HR matrix does? It uses data generated by the system to measure HR and its relationship with the company, with the goals and objectives of the company. Okay, so that is what HR matrix basically talks about. Okay, now in strategic management, if you understand, okay, so very sorry guys. There is a lot of issues that are happening here, technical issues. So I'm really very sorry. Okay, so I'll just share the screen again. Okay, fine. I hope you can see the screen now. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was talking about HR metrics, and I was talking about you using lots of metrics in strategic management. Do you remember strategic management as a subject and where you studied lots of metrics? Anyone who remembers? I know you did not have exam for that, and you were same, but still you might have studied those metrics, right? Like BCG metrics was the first one that you studied, I guess. Then the Porter's 5 force model, then your GE metrics, McKinsey's metrics. Have you all studied all these? Guys, I'm talking to you. Please respond.
Yes, sir. We have
Yes, sir.
studied BCG.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So can somebody tell me? Okay. Can Rashmi tell
We
me?
study, sir.
We studied, sir.
Can Rashmi tell me what is BCG metrics?
I don't remember, sir.
Okay, Rohan, can you tell me what is your photos 5 force?
So BCG matrix in which we have stars, star, cow.
Yes, star, dog, cash cow, and
Hello, sir. So BCG matrix in this we have
Question
star,
mark.
yes, we have the stars. Then
cash cow,
Question
yes, sir,
yes, cash cows. Then
and dog.
and one more.
And question mark.
And
Question marks.
yes, there is a question mark, right? Okay, so these are that is one matrix. Okay, fine. Those are the quadrants of those metrics. But what do you do? Why? Where do we use BCG metrics?
So I wanted to ask something.
Yes, Rashmi, go ahead.
So this matrix is similar to matrix, sir.
Means
I mean, this is matrix, sir. That is METRIX matrix. Both are the same.
yeah, see metric. Yes, it's the same.
The
Matrices
metric is basically a yardstick to measure something, right, sir?
definitely
To
yes,
measure performance or
yes,
something.
yes, yes. Okay, and that is what you do in BCG also, right? In BCG also you
Yes,
try to
sir.
find out where your company lies, whether it is a dog, whether it is a star, whether it is a question mark, or whether it is a cash cow. Am I right? So you're
Yes, sir.
measuring there also. So if you understand the market share and the on one side we have the market share, on the other side we have the industry growth. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we measure where are we actually lying. The same thing happens with HR metrics also. It tries to measure. Okay, now this measurement is done by using data. Okay, now what measurements are done here is whether the systems, whether the functions, the HR functions that are already there, okay, whether they are useful in attaining the objectives of the organization, whether they are useful or whether they are effective in achieving the goals of the organization is what is measured using the HR metrics. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, it focuses on variety of different specifics. Different specifics is basically the different functions that I'm talking about. Okay, whether it is related to recruiting, whether it is related to training, whether it is related to staffing, or your promotion, or your employee engagement, then the benefits, etc., etc. All these are different specifics. So the matrix focuses on variety of different specifics of HR. Okay, it is used to uncover the strong and weak areas of various departments. Now, why do we use a matrix, or why do we use a HR matrix? Is to find out the strengths and weaknesses of various departments. So you have something called a SWOT analysis, right? The SWOT which you have done in your projects also. Your internship, you have used SWOT.
Yes, sir.
Now, why did you do SWOT? Because it was told to you by the university, and
To know,
what was the reason? Why do we do SWOT analysis?
So to draw a conclusion about the company.
Draw conclusion about the company. Yes, okay. Jasmina has raised her hand. Jasmina, go ahead.
So to find out what are the strengths of the company, so you can play with the strengths rather than concentrating on the weakness of the company. Like if you know in a particular company you have strength, you might as well utilize all the strength whatever the company is, rather than paying more attention to the negative aspect of that company.
Okay, fine. The first part of your answer is absolutely right, where you try to play on your strengths and you need to know what are the strengths of the organization so that you can uh, grab the opportunities, use your strengths
So
and grab
even
the
threats, you have to be very aware of it.
right.
Threats.
But that doesn't mean that you ignore your weaknesses. Okay, you have to
No.
make sure that your weaknesses are reduced. You cannot just stay with your weaknesses. Okay, yes, Zora, you want to say something? Zora, please go ahead. Zora, you had raised your hand. Can you please go ahead and speak?
Hello, yes, I am speaking.
Speak.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, when we do SWOT analysis, we come to know that what is our weakness, which is very important to know because we can improve on that. The company can make more profit by improving its weakness.
True. Right? Okay. See, basically, what happens here is, so Jasmina spoke about the strengths. Zora is speaking about the weaknesses. But it's not only strengths and weaknesses, but you need to also understand the opportunities and threats. So that is why it is called as SWOT. All the four factors are important here. Your strengths are important. You need to know your strengths so that you can play on that, or you can basically use your strengths in achieving the goals and objectives. Second is your weaknesses. When you know your weaknesses, you try to avoid your weaknesses or you try to overcome your weaknesses. Then you know the opportunities. You have the strengths, you match the opportunities with the strengths and you try to grab that opportunity. Whereas there are certain threats. Make sure that those threats don't become your weakness or don't attract your, don't attach it to your weaknesses and then face problems. So you need to understand all these four things. Yes, Swapnil, go ahead. You have raised your hand. Swapnil.
Yes, sir. So SWOT analysis gives a entire picture of the company. So it becomes easy in evaluation, not just the present but the future also.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so that is what opportunities and threats talks about. It talks about the future currently, or it talks about the internal and external environment also. Okay, internally, how good you are, how bad are you? Okay, what are you good in? What are you bad at? Right? Whereas when it comes to external, what are the various opportunities that are available? What are the various threats that are there? So all these things are done using a SWOT analysis. So it basically helps you in understanding the current scenario and the future prospects, right? So the same thing is applied in HR metrics also. HR metrics also, there are lots of metrics which used to uncover the strong and weak areas of various departments. So a particular department is good at this particular aspect, a particular department is not good at this particular aspect. Okay, all these things can be found out using an HR matrix. So that strengths and weaknesses are found out. Next, excuse me. Next, HR matrix is an important aspect of the company because nowadays you talk about a data based decision making, right? That the decision making which is based on data, which is supported by data rather than just your intuitions, right? So HR metrics provide a platform to take informed decision, to make informed decisions, because once you have the matrix in front of you, it becomes very easy for you to take decisions. So it has become an important aspect of the company. Then endless arrays of HR metrics that uses payroll, compensation, benefits, engagement, retention, training, and many more can provide incredible insights into how HR functions are performing. Okay, so as I said, HR metrics consists of different specifics or different arrays, you can say different aspects of the HR system are considered by HR matrix. Okay, so HR metrics will basically help you in understanding how these various HR functions are performing, whether they are effective or not, whether they are profitable or not, whether they are feasible or not. Okay, all these things are or evaluated or analyzed using an HR matrix. Okay, so HR matrix provides you an overall view about the various HR functions and their performance. Okay. Now, when I say that, it's not that you prepare only one matrix. Okay. There is matrix for engagement separate. There is matrix for payroll, separate matrix for compensation, separate matrix for benefits. So all the metrics are different, but each and every metrics, if you try to analyze, it will give you an insight into that particular function of HR, whether it is performing or no, whether it is profitable or not. Okay, so that is what HR does. It gives you endless arrays. Okay, then the goals of HR metrics is to assess the HR programs and their effectiveness for fulfilling the goals of the organizations. Okay, goals and objectives. Okay, so organizational desired goals and objectives. Okay, so the HR metrics, the overall objective of HR metrics is to make sure that your HR programs are effective and they are helping you in fulfilling the desired goals and objectives. That is what the main objective of HR metrics is. Okay, so that when you have an HR matrix, you are in line. Okay, you do not deviate, you are in line with whatever you want to achieve. So that is one advantage of HR matrix or objective of HR matrix. Okay, then why it is required, why this HR matrix is really required, what is the need of HR matrix? First is technology makes fact based decision possible. Okay, initially what used to happen, especially with HRs, is they used to take decisions on the basis of their experience, on the basis of the intuitions. Okay, or on the basis of judgmental, it was a judgmental decision, right? Which was more let's say subjective. Okay, so what happened because of that is there were many a times that wrong decisions were taken. Okay, or wrong decisions are taken because you become very judgmental, your decisions are judgmental, or it depends on your personality. But nowadays, because of technology, what has happened is data is really readily available to you. Okay, you have data sheets for each and every process, so data is readily available, and because of this technology, use of data, decision making based on facts has become comparatively very easy. So technology, that so that is the need of HR matrix. Okay, because data is available, you can prepare matrix and then use it for fact based decision making. So fact based decision making is become possible because of data and matrix. Then is business process improvement sets the trend. Okay, now if you remember, if you understand supply chain management. Okay, do you know supply chain management? Are you aware of what is supply chain management?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is supply chain management?
So it's the totally management from the goods from raw material to the delivery of that product, sir,
Okay, great. Okay,
to the
so
customers.
yes, yes, very nice. Okay, it starts basically from procurement of materials to the delivery of materials to the customers, right? All the processes which are involved in this entire supply chain. Okay, supplying the materials, procuring the materials and supplying the materials, that is called as supply chain management. Okay, so initially supply chain management was only restricted to warehousing, ordering, warehousing and supplying. That is what supply chain was. But now if you see supply chain, okay, due to use of matrix, the decision making in supply chain, we are talking about supply chain integration now. Now how you are making supply chain procedures so apt that you are actually making profits out of that supply chain management. Okay, so that is what has changed in supply chain because of the use of matrix and use of data basically. Okay, now the same thing applies to HR also. HR initially was just a cost center. Okay, it was just a cost center where you used to recruit people, you used to train people, and the people used to work for you, you used to give them promotions, etc., etc. So it was a cost center. Now HR department is also become a profit center, where you have lots of activities which benefit to the organization, which is generating revenues to the organization. Okay, so the same thing happened with supply chain. It was initially a cost center. Now supply chain management is become a profit center. Now why this has happened? Because of business process improvement. Okay, so business process improvement happens because of the use of data. Now lots of data is available, make use of that data properly. Matrix again plays a very important role over here, because matrix help you in properly uh, displaying the data rather than just showing a raw data. Matrix gives it a nice pictorial uh, view, and you can make decisions based on that matrix. Okay, it's a more comprehensive decision making tool is what we can say. Okay, so that helps in business process improvement, whether the business process is related to sales, it is related to supply chain, it's finance or HR. The processes are improving because of use of matrix, and that is why matrix is required. That is another need for matrix. Third is globalization and mergers forces managers to shift to fact based decision making. Okay, now imagine guys, uh, in the world of globalization where your branches are located all over the world, okay, can you really judge a person's performance just by talking to him on phone or just by his mails that you receive? Can you do that? Okay, you are an HR, you are
No,
doing
sir.
HR. Okay, you are taking care of the entire HR of the entire company, the entire corporate that you are leading. You are the main HR of that particular corporate, or the director HR, we can say. Okay, now you are talking about appraisal system. Now how do you do the appraisals? By basically knowing what kind of person he is, how good he is, what he has achieved, and all those things. Now most of the times, if it is a small company, what you do is, okay, you observe that particular person on a daily basis, try to find out his performance, and then give him appraisals. But that is not possible when it comes to global organizations, because people are located across the world, and it's really difficult to observe everyone and try to find out what is good and what is bad, and how is it how is that particular employee performing. Okay, so what comes to the help? Your matrix again, because matrix have defined parameters. Okay, and each and every employee of the organization will choose the parameters that he fits into, and according to that your appraisals are done, which becomes more objective type, right, where everything is quite precise. You know what you are doing. So the appraisal system came into existence. Okay, so appraisal system is again a type of a matrix itself, where people are judged on the basis of various parameters. Now here in globalization, in the area, in the era of globalization and mergers, the HR manager need not be everywhere. He just sits in the office, he collects the data, the appraisal forms from various branches or various organizations under his control, and then he decides on who has to be given an appraisal, who has not to be given an appraisal, right? So that is how matrix or data helps in uh, fact based decision making. Okay, so this is the need for matrix. So are you clear with this? Why it is required? First is, since now because of the advancement in the technology, data is available, so making a fact-based decision on the basis of matrix is very easy and very appropriate, effective. Second is, it helps in developing or improving the business processes. Data and matrix has helped in developing the business processes, and in the era of globalization, this matrix becomes very important for assessing the performance of various HR systems, and that is why matrix is important or matrix is required. So are you clear with all these 3 points? Any doubts in any of these 3 points? Sure, everybody's clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So let's move on to the next slide. That is, these are some of the HR matrix that we prepare. Okay, again, the list is not exhaustive. The list is not exhaustive. There are many more matrix that we can prepare, but I have listed a few important matrix that are there. Okay, first one is absence rate. So you can have a matrix which judges the, or which evaluates or assesses the absence rate in the uh, employee. Second one is absence per manager. Like there are managers, and under the manager there are lots of people who are working under him. So what is the absence per manager? First one was absence rate, that is related to individual employees. Second is, suppose I am a manager and I have a team of 30 people. So out of 30, how many people remain absent? So absent, that is the absenteeism in the team. So absent per manager means what? Total number of people absent in the organization divided by number of managers. So you get the absence per manager. Okay, so that is another tool used to assess the absenteeisms. Okay, overtime expenses. So you can prepare a matrix which will give the overtime expenses, how much is done, how much overtime has been worked, and how much expenses are incurred. Then There's something called as employee productivity index to judge the productivity of the employee. Okay, then training expenses per employee, how much expenses was incurred on training per employee can be another matrix. Training effective index, whether the training that was provided was effective or no, can be basically found out using the training effectiveness index. And training efficiency, how efficient was that training. Okay, effective and efficient are two different things. Can somebody tell me what is the difference between effectiveness and efficiency? Can somebody tell me the difference between effectiveness and efficiency?
So efficiency is basically they do the tasks by utilizing as much less resources as possible
Yes.
without much wastage of resources.
That means doing things in the right way, right?
Yes, sir.
Doing things in the right way is efficiency. Agree?
Yes, sir.
And what is effectiveness?
Effectiveness is basically they do quickly or
Correct. Doing right
they just
things.
do the job on time.
Doing right things.
Yes.
Am I right? Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Doing things in the right way is efficiency. Doing right things is effectiveness.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what is important?
Efficiency, sir.
Both are important.
I mean both.
Both are
Yes, sir.
important. Okay? If you're doing the things in the right way, but which is of no use at all, that means it is not efficient. That is not effective. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Doing things in the right way, fine, but they are not of no use to you. That is, they are not effective. Both are important. Effectiveness is also important. Efficiency is also important. Right? Yes, Swapnil, you have raised your hand. Can you please, if you want to say something? And I guess so, Swapnil, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So efficiency is not doing things with the limited resources, but those things may not be important for the organization. Whereas effectiveness is doing things which are important.
Yes. So that is what I asked you all. What is important here? Effectiveness is being effective is important, or being efficient is important?
Effective.
Both have to be there. You have to do the right things in the right way. Am I right? You have to do the right things. That means they are effective in the right way. That means you are efficient. Okay. So basically training efficiency is also just, okay. Then employees happiness index. There is something called as employee happiness index, which can judge the happiness of the employees, how happy your employees are. And voluntary turnover rate. Okay. Then you have talent turnover rate, then your retention rate per manager. All these things are there under the HR metrics. So these are a few HR metrics that are prepared. So we call them as 11 key HR metrics, but there are hundreds of other metrics that you can prepare. These are just a few examples that I've given. Okay. So we'll stop it over here today because we are left with less than a minute. Okay, so it's not of any point in going ahead with the significance of HR metrics. We'll do it in the next class. I hope you're clear with what is a matrix and how it is useful, why it is required. All these things are clear. Whatever we covered, first is the various processes and what are the various metrics that we can use there. Then what is HR metrics? We studied that. Then why it is required, need, and last one was different types of metrics. So I hope you're clear with all these metrics. Right? Okay, if you are clear, please give a thumbs up.
Yes, sir.